It's your girl Alicia, and for today's video, as you can see by the title, I wanted to speak to my elder Gen Z, my Zillennials, if you will. I know that some people have different definitions of what Zillennial or elder Gen Z is, but for me, I'm defining it as 1997 to 03. Disclaimer:
the demographic of people that I'm talking about are pushing 30, if not getting close to pushing 30. So we're in this constant transitional phase of life, but the transitional phase has started when a lot of us were turning 18, 16, if you were born in 99, so on and so forth. So before I get into a tangent about the disclaimer that I'm making, I understand that some of this may come off as first world problems. I still think, however, that this is valuable to discuss.
So I graduated high school in 2017, and anybody who graduated in the class of 2017 definitely made it like the last chopper out of Nam, because we were the last to essentially experience K through 12 plus higher education, undergrad at least, normally, with the exception of our senior year of college. I don't even know how to describe the world that I feel like I grew up in, because Zillennials, Black Zillennials, a key moment in our, I guess, adolescence and development is 2011, 2012. And if I'm not mistaken, Trayvon would have been 30 this year, which means that he's 30 or 31, which means that he's 4 years older than me. Brutality has occurred throughout my life. Oscar Grant, Sean Bell, Rakia Boyd, so many people before Trayvon. But I'm saying, as a 12-year-old, seeing somebody who was 4 or 5 years older than me, it obviously would have hit closer to home. I saw the BLM movement at the beginnings. I remember being a sophomore in high school with Mike Brown. All of these things occurred leading up to 2016. But I also remember, if we take it back to 08, I remember November 2008, when Obama became president. I feel like the way that the world looked like it was going to be set up based on the world that I lived in, I felt like, or we all lived in, whatever, I felt like the world, by the time it came to me, elder Gen Z, Zillennials, the foundation of things would have essentially just, send us on an upward trajectory. Everything that we're seeing now is a snowball effect of the things that I just discussed. But also, things have obviously been sped up to occur in a faster pace. So that could be another tangent that I could go on, but I'm going to stay focused on making this as old to my peoples, my Zillennials. I feel like I'm in this place where I'm the adult now, and I don't know how, as an adult, to help the next generation, because the things that somebody who is 5 to 10 years older than me could have told me isn't the same thing that I could tell somebody who is 21, 16 right now. Because I don't think that no 16-year-old now will be happy to see a $200 paycheck making $7.25 an hour, like I was. Because when I was working at McDonald's, making my $7.25 and working my 20, 25 hours, 40 hours a week in the summertime, I was happy because I could do something with that money. I could put gas in my car. I could go to the mall because we still had mall as a major third space. I could do all of these things. My largest check that I ever got from McDonald's after working there for almost 3 years, and I worked 41 hours on that check, so I had 1 hour of overtime. It was $400 something. $400 something was my largest check I ever saw at McDonald's. I worked at McDonald's when it was a 2-for-1 hash brown, when all of the drinks, small, medium, large, was $1. The app wasn't even out until I became a junior or senior in high school. And to now see a 2-for-6 billboard for 2 sandwiches. I can't even get the 2 hash browns if I wanted to. Mind you, I ain't had no McDonald's for 2 years, or 2.5. But nonetheless, just using this as an example. The kids can't even, like, I ain't even 30 yet, and I can say the kids can't even live in a world like that. And I feel like that was simple. And as somebody who graduated with a bachelor's in communications and African American studies with minors in Latin American and Latino studies and global studies under the college of education, is so much that I need to find a way to condense down so that I can find a way for me to help the next generation find what they need to do, because nonetheless, the next generation is here. They not going nowhere because we already on a generation after the next one. And it kind of feels hopeless because I'm always trying to figure out what I'm going to do about my life for myself. I felt like by the time I was 26, I was going to be married. I was going to have a kid. Not that I was setting myself up to necessarily be married with the child by now, but you know, that was just like, you go to school, you get married, you have kids, you go to work, y'all, you know, you live your life like that. As things change, just like, what do you want? When I graduated college in 2021 in May, so a year after the pandemic started, and I was supposed to, summer 2020, I was supposed to go to Brazil, study abroad. I was supposed to go to Puerto Rico on spring break, but granted, they had Hurricane Maria, so of course we could not go, rightfully so. And we were going to change that to either Charleston or Savannah, Charleston, South Carolina, or Savannah, Georgia, or Trinidad and Tobago. I was going to turn 21 in November of 2020. And of course, all of that didn't happen. Besides the fact that I, of course, turned 21. But I couldn't celebrate being 21 in the way that I wanted to celebrate being 21. And then when you look at or see comments of people who say, oh, well, during the pandemic, I had a time, like, sorry, I was outside, while I was like, blah. A part of me is like, shit, jealous, because y'all risk y'all lives. Y'all risk y'all lives and everybody else around you lives and each other's lives. And you still have a ball. And you have the memories of that. And I don't. And I chose to stay in the house as a 21-year-old because that was the responsible thing for me to do. Mind you, y'all, New Year's 2020, I got too drunk, y'all. Like, I got too drunk. I blacked out. I don't remember it. My phone, I left my phone in my Uber's car. My Uber, he had to take me by myself because I blacked out in the bar. We had to drive 30 minutes to the Uber's house so that I could go and get my what's called. He wasn't responding to my text because we thought somebody else stole it. Like, it was just a lot. So yeah, I'm thinking, boom, I have next year. I had December 31st, 2019 going into January 1st, 2020. That all happened. So I'm thinking, cool. A girl go, y'all, I go back to college in that January 2020. I got a video on my Snapchat of me at a Sigma party and the box is playing. Like, it's all of the what ifs. It's all of the what would I have been? Where would I be? What would life look like if the pandemic never happened? I don't know where I don't know where I would be, because obviously I can't foresee another path than the one that I took. And I'm not going to act like during the pandemic happening gave me the opportunity to have more opportunities. Like, for instance, with my first internship, I was able to work with a nonprofit journalism company that focuses on the solution-oriented stories in the Midwest. And I was originally supposed to go to Toledo for the summer and intern there, but they transitioned it to a remote internship, and that was their first time ever doing that, obviously. And then that led into me becoming or being a part of Warner Music Group's first inaugural career classroom series, because obviously they saw the need and the demand for people who did not live in music industry hubs who wanted to find their way into the industry. There were so many internships that were remote that got me the experience I needed to inevitably land me with the full-time job that I had in the music industry for about 2.5 years. So the pandemic, while everything social-wise that I mentioned, it gave me the opportunity, plenty of opportunities career-wise, fortunately. But unfortunately, now all of those opportunities are going away. As we've seen, people don't want people to have remote work and go back into office and blah, blah, blah. So it's like, it's so many, I don't want to say it's pros and cons because it sounds bad to say that there's pros to something that harmed millions and millions of people. But it's simply like, nonetheless, I'm going to be here, so I have to find a way to live with myself and live my life every single day. As all of us are approaching 30 or getting closer to approaching 30, what are we going to do for ourselves, or how are we going to, I guess, reshape the way that 25 to 30-year-olds are perceived? Because yeah, we got younger Gen Z calling us aunt and unk and stuff, but nonetheless, they are one day going to be here too, and they have 30 minutes. So when they then become aunt and unk, and we are grandma and grandpa, and it's time for us to, I guess, help them navigate that part of the world, or navigate the world then, because we will be the first group of people to live in the new world that we're creating. We don't need to look at things in a, what is this, horizontal? We don't need to look at things like this. We need to look at things like this. So the person next to you, that's the person you should be networking with. Everybody don't need to network with just the person up here, because the person up here ain't always going to try to get you to be right here. If you start with somebody right here, then y'all can go up together, unless they're trash people. And I know I focused on what our world looks like and how we've been impacted by 2020, but what would the world look like, or what would it be if more of us were able to vote in 2016? Because I was 16 turning 17 then. And so 99, 98, 97, if you were born in 97, they were the only people, if I'm not mistaken, who would have been eligible to vote in the 2016 election. What would the world have been like if Zillennials were able to vote then, if we were just a couple of years older? Everything was this close. I watched the culture that the siblings of me and my peers created. And now it's like, dang, we in another recession, we in another depression, we in another whatever. And at least, if my sister sees, she know I say this to her all the time, at least in 2008, 2 years after she graduated, she could go to McDonald's, get her something off the dollar menu, because that was a dollar menu. We got 2 for $6 for breakfast. We don't even got all day breakfast anymore. And again, I haven't ate McDonald's since 2023, but that's not the point. And so to end this and summarize everything that I just said, I simply, as somebody who is getting close to pushing 30, what are we as the now adults going to do to instill hope back into the next generation, while we simultaneously are trying to find the hope and instill the hope within ourselves to continue to try and sustain and live a life? How do we feel about the losses we had, the milestones that we lost, and what milestones are we going to create for ourselves to replace, or maybe not even necessarily replace or fill the gap of, but just to create new milestones to look forward to, so that we aren't dependent. The next generation isn't dependent on, oh yeah, I'm excited to turn 21 and get blacked out drunk, because I ain't nobody here to ever judge nobody for getting blacked out drunk. I promise you, I'm the last person on the world and the earth to ever judge somebody for being a drunk. But that do not mean that it's good for us. We don't necessarily need to continue to promote those bad behaviors just because it's associated with the 21st birthday, because, but also blah, 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 more nuances. I could continue to ramble, so I'm going to stop here. So I hope that y'all enjoyed this video. Shout out to all my Zillennials. Shout out to us, because we really the last, no shade to everybody else. We had dial up, y'all. If you ain't had dial up, I don't know what you talking about, okay? People PC, okay? Yeah. So I hope that y'all enjoyed this video. Let me know what y'all think down below, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.